Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. It's your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel, our social media, or our website. Reach out to me directly, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing an absolute shooting star from Bezel World 2019, 40 millimeters in white gold, really gray gold. This is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual GMT-Master II 126719 BLRO, white gold, ceramic bezel, Pepsi bezel, Oyster bracelet, and of course, Meteorite dial. The watch is 40 millimeters in diameter, but as with all the super case Rolexes since 2005, the sheer of the case and the squared off lugs means it wears visually more like a 42 on the wrist, but it is thin, only 12.2 millimeters thick, 48 millimeters from lug to lug, 51 millimeters from solid end link to solid end link, and then 20 millimeters between the lugs, that is the spacing between the horns if you want to throw it on a strap. You'd be adventurous to do so though, because the bracelet truly is built for the watch. It feels and looks right on the bracelet. My 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears the watch well. It's comfortable, it's flat. As you can see, it is broad and it does look more like a 42. It's also substantial with a lot of metal in here, and again, with a solid case back and solid center links, solid end link, milled clasp. Rolex's full white gold bracelet watches feel like platinum watches from other brands. I'm also going to recommend it for a cuff. As you can see, it sits low, it easily slides under a sleeve, and I'd recommend it for a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference. Let's take a look at the hardware. I've already lauded the quality of the bracelet and the clasp. When you get a little bit closer, you can see polished centers, polished outer faces, satin flanks. It's the 3-link Oyster design, removable links fixed by screws, plenty of gaps on the underside. This is a calculated element that's designed to avoid trapping wrist heat, avoid pinching skin, and avoid pulling hair. And you have that fully milled out clasp, and this is a flagship piece. So you can see the watch employs a polished internal. There is a beak and a hook latching system, and you can see that vertical latch actually locks. You can't simply pull it open. You do need to lift and unlock. There are 2 locks. One is the clamshell, one is the lift lock system, and note the little kerf underneath the crown so you can dig your nail in easily. Polished straight through, polished flanks, pop it all open, and you can see there is the Rolex EasyLink system, 5 millimeters of in or out tool-free adjustment. It's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link. You'll also note there are several divots drilled inside the clasp with little tracks leading into the divots so you can restation the bracelet inside the clasp with the strap tool. So 3 different ways: removable links, Easy Link, and those divots to change the size of your watch. Now, I mentioned the super case. This is what it is. No longer do you have those beveled flanks and somewhat compound curved sides. They're very sheer. They also have squared off lugs that come less to a taper than they do to a blunt end. You can see the flank is polished. The lug hoods themselves are of satin. There is a triplock crown, and note this is a triplock crown in white gold. Gold triplock crowns have 2 small flanking dots and then 1 large center dot. Reverse that or invert it for a platinum triplock crown. This is an interesting array of features here. Now, the watch includes a bezel of white gold, and what I love about that is that it's a gold bezel, but it's a ceramic insert, so you get not just 2 tones, but actually 3. The white, the red, and the blue, with the interior of all the indices as well as the numerals. Those are actually deposits that are full of platinum, so it won't oxidize or tarnish over time. There's precious metal atop precious metal. Scratch-resistant bezel, that's the advantage of ceramic. Bidirectional action, and the reason you have that bidirectional action is because if you set the 24-hour hand to Greenwich Mean Time, you can use the GMT offset of your destination to find the local time by using the bezel. So you can temporarily read your local, your Greenwich, and of course your arrival time using the bezel. So 3 simultaneous time zones, and at any time you have the ability to set 2 independent time zones. Note that there is a hacking or stop seconds function if you want it, but the intermediate position of the crown operates the Mercedes local hour hand, which you can see is also capable of jumping the date, which is key to the local time. Now, the watch includes white gold indices, white gold hands, and I'm going to pull everything out and just operate so you can see that the 24-hour hand, which is independent, of course, moves at half the speed of the local hand. white gold indices and hands on a Meteorite dial. You have these classical Widmanstätten patterns. Essentially, it's oxidized iron that has been oxidized but then stabilized. So this crystalline structure remains permanently visible. It doesn't ever fog over or oxidize to the point where you can no longer see that underlying metallic structure. It is permabound to your watch. Solid case back, 100-meter water resistance. One of the reasons this watch is so hefty is because it does have that almost gold dollar style case back. The watch with a caliber 3285 internally, 31 jewels, automatic winding, new for Rolex in this family of watches. The first non-Daytona Rolex family to have the bearing would have been the Yacht-Master II and then the Sky Dweller, and now it makes its way to the canonical models. And the sub's pretty much the only holdout with the jeweled staff these days. The bearing in this rotor winding system makes it tougher than the old jeweled staff. It's also shock resistant by virtue of a free-sprung balance and a full balance bridge, anti-magnetic by virtue of a niobium zirconium blue oxidized hairspring, that handmade Breguet overcoil hairspring, helping the watch to keep excellent time in any orientation. It meets the COSC standards, but then it goes above and beyond as Rolex tests the fully cased up watch to run at least -2 + 2 seconds per day or better. That is the superlative chronometer standard. So it's COSC and then some. The watch beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour. In case you're wondering, it does use bidirectional winding, so you don't have that unweighted rotor wobble of a unidirectional system. Think Patek Philippe 30-4 or a Valjoux 7750. So a 324, a Valjoux 7750, those are all unidirectional winders. Rolex, like AP and Panerai, goes with bidirectional for smoothness. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this watch, which was new for 2019. And we're back with the Meteorite GMT-Master II by night. Note all of the hands loomed, including the 24-hour hand.